The wilderness can look peaceful, serene, even inviting. But what if it isn't as welcoming as it seems? We go camping for freedom, for escape, for the beauty of nature. But alone, under the open sky, we are vulnerable. Thrilling true stories of campers who discovered that the darkness beyond the campfire hides things you don't want to see, and some you'll never forget. The Whispering Woods. The sun was just beginning its descent behind the dense pines when Alex and his friends arrived at the secluded clearing deep in the Whispering Woods. From a distance, the forest seemed to welcome them, its thick canopy filtering the last golden rays of light, casting intricate shadows across the mossy ground. The air was crisp, tinged with the faint scent of pine resin and damp earth, carrying the promise of an unspoiled escape from the chaos of city life. Alex had been drawn here by the allure of solitude, the kind that comes with being miles from the nearest road or the hum of human activity. He and his companions set up tents near a small, gently babbling creek that curved gracefully through the clearing, its waters glinting faintly as they caught the dying sunlight. A fire pit had already been cleared from the last visitors, and the group eagerly stacked wood, the crackling flames soon filling the campsite with warmth and comfort. Laughter echoed across the clearing, blending with the sounds of the forest, the distant call of a crow, the rustle of leaves as a squirrel darted along a branch, the gentle flow of the creek. For the first night, all was serene, the type of tranquil night that leaves an indelible sense of peace, a rare treasure in the modern world. As the evening progressed, Alex sat at the edge of the firelight, staring into the flickering flames, feeling the quiet hum of nature around him. But as the shadows deepened, subtle anomalies began to intrude upon the calm. At first it was only a whisper, almost imperceptible, blending seamlessly with the wind through the trees. He thought it was one of his friends, teasing, a joke whispered from across the clearing, and he laughed it off. But then the whispering grew more distinct, seeming to emerge from all directions at once, yet always just beyond the firelight. Alex's pulse quickened. He glanced at the dense tree line and noticed the silhouettes of the trees shifting, as if swaying unnaturally. His friends, oblivious to the subtle dread creeping through him, continued chatting and roasting marshmallows, unaware of the growing unease that seemed to cling to him. By midnight, the forest had become unnervingly quiet. The usual chorus of nocturnal creatures had disappeared entirely, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves that sounded strangely deliberate, almost like footsteps moving cautiously between the trees. Alex strained his ears, heart pounding. Sure, he heard a faint voice calling his name, low, distant, almost lost in the night. When he turned to point it out, his friends shook their heads and reassured him it was probably just the wind. But deep inside, he felt a creeping certainty. He was being watched. Attempting to calm himself, Alex left the firelight and wandered a few steps toward the creek to collect water, flashlight in hand. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating rocks, roots, and patches of moss, but it revealed nothing unusual. Yet with every step, the whispering seemed to follow him, growing louder, closer, threading itself into the very rustle of leaves. A branch snapped behind him, sharp and sudden, and he spun around. The forest appeared empty, but his chest tightened with panic. Something was there, just beyond the reach of the light. Returning to the campsite, Alex tried to shake off the sensation, attributing it to his imagination, fatigue, or perhaps the eerie ambiance of an unfamiliar forest at night. But then his friends noticed it too. Small items had shifted inexplicably. A backpack moved several feet from where it had been, a tent flap that had been closed now gaping open. The fire flickered violently, though the air was still, and the whispers crescendoed, forming nearly coherent words that seemed to beckon and mock simultaneously. Alex suggested they pack up and leave, but when they tried to follow the path back to the car, the woods seemed to twist and warp around them. Familiar trees disappeared, replaced by gnarled trunks and twisted branches forming paths that led in endless loops. Every direction they turned returned them to the same clearing, the firelight casting shadows that seemed to stretch impossibly long, twisting into shapes that resembled watching eyes. Fear began to corrode their rationality. One of his friends, Mark, claimed he saw a figure darting between the trees, unnaturally fast and low, almost gliding across the forest floor. Alex tried to convince him it was a trick of the shadows, but the unease was palpable, a cold, pervasive terror that clung to their skin. As hours dragged on, the whispering became unmistakable. Words floated in the darkness, teasing, threatening, yet impossible to locate. "Why are you here?" "Leave," or "Stay forever." Alex's attempts to reassure his friends faltered, and a primal dread settled over them. The group huddled near the extinguished fire, hesitant to relight it, fearing that any light might draw attention. It was then that Alex noticed movement just beyond the tree line, a fleeting glimpse of something tall and humanoid, yet distorted, its form twisting unnaturally with each step. The figure seemed to observe, silent, unblinking, impossibly still at times, then shifting closer, retreating, keeping them on edge. Mark swore he felt fingers brush his arm when no one was there, while Alex heard whispers directly in his ear, soft and intimate, though no one else was close. The forest was alive, and it had chosen them. The climax arrived suddenly. A loud guttural screech echoed across the clearing, followed by the unmistakable sound of rapid, heavy footsteps crashing through underbrush. One of their friends, Sarah, screamed as a shadow lunged from the darkness. Alex swung his flashlight, catching only the outline of a figure that was impossibly tall, its movements fluid yet unnatural. Panic erupted. They ran blindly into the forest, screaming, stumbling over roots and rocks, trying desperately to find the way back. The whispering now surrounded them, words overlapping in a cacophony of threats and laughter that seemed to emanate from every direction. Hours, or perhaps minutes, time seemed warped. Later, Alex found himself separated from the others, crouched behind a large boulder, gasping for air, heart pounding in a rhythm that matched the unseen pursuit. The firelight of their campsite was gone, replaced by shadows that flickered and twisted in ways that defied logic. When he dared to peek from his hiding place, he saw vague humanoid shapes moving between the trees, circling, observing, their presence oppressive and intelligent. Eventually, dawn broke, though the forest still seemed hostile, the golden light filtering through misty treetops that bent unnaturally. Alex stumbled back to the path they had first entered, hoping it would lead him to safety. Hours later, the authorities found him wandering along the forest edge, covered in dirt and scratches, muttering about whispers and shadows that had followed him all night. His friends were never seen again, and search parties found no evidence of their passage through the woods. The forest had swallowed them, leaving no trace. Even now, Alex says he can hear the faintest whispers when the wind blows through the trees. Sometimes at night, when he closes his eyes, he sees the shadows at the edge of his vision, tall, silent, and observing. The Whispering Woods, as locals have come to call them, remain a place of dark legend, a reminder that some forests are alive in ways humans cannot understand, and that venturing too far into isolation can awaken horrors that are patient, intelligent, and utterly merciless.